Hey, Larken Rose here, doing a very short video. We'll see how short it is. About TikTok being shut down. And how it's just, it's just an example of how easy people are to manipulate. So before they actually needed to, TikTok shut down their services in the US and posted a thing that goes, oh, they passed a law shutting us down. But Trump, we're hopeful he's going to save the day. Which was just the owners of TikTok playing on Trump's ego, stroking his ego so his narcissism kicks in and he thinks, I could look like the person who saved Trump. And he did, and it worked. And they're like in negotiations, and then TikTok comes back on, that's the last I heard of it. Is either it already did or it's in the process of that happening. Oh, yay, thanks to Trump, whose ego we just stroked. Now we're in talks to have it work. Now, for those of you with short memories, in 2020, Trump basically banned TikTok through an executive order. Illegal, unconstitutional, against the First Amendment, everything else. He was completely against TikTok. So the idea that he's some brave crusader for freedom and freedom of speech is just utterly ridiculous. He wanted exactly what the left just passed, because both sides just passed. It's a bipartisan thing, because everyone in the U.S. government is scared of the idea of a platform that they don't control. That's all this is. The idea of, oh, we're going to protect Americans from those nasty Chinese people collecting their information. We're supposed to be the nasty people collecting their information and spying on them and manipulating them. Like, the idea that anybody in Congress cares about our privacy, like, is anybody dumb enough to still believe that? If you are, feel free to comment below and say, yes, I'm dumb enough to think people in Congress care about our privacy. It's just they want control. And so, of course, there are these games going, well, these people with a bunch of money might buy a certain amount of TikTok and do all these deals. And Trump just so happened to talk to somebody associated with something Byte, I forget the company's name, that may be like buying a bunch or be in charge of it. And golly gee, now he's had a change of heart. It's just so pathetically transparent. And yet I already see a bunch of people going, yay, Trump is our hero. Even though Trump was just being manipulated too by TikTok, literally, and none of it has anything to do with what anybody is pretending it's about. Like, and then you have the Supreme Court unanimously saying, yeah, TikTok is where people like talk and they express themselves, but screw that, we don't give a shit. We'll say national security and then let people in the feds like shut down a gigantic platform where lots of people are saying what they think. So nobody on the Supreme Court gives a shit about First Amendment as opposed to the power of the government. And they've done this forever. They do these, there have been so many cases, like I've read a gajillion of them, where the court is like, well, we have to balance people's constitutional rights against the state's interests. And they have lots of different phrases they use to mean, well, the state doesn't give a crap what you want. They care about their own power. We have to like balance between, so we have to balance between national security and the First Amendment. Really? Where in the First Amendment does it mention national security? Where in the Constitution does it say, if you say the magic words national security, then screw the First Amendment, screw the Second, screw the Fourth, screw the Fifth, screw the Ninth, screw the 10th. You can torture people down in Guantanamo. National security. Never mind all those silly, pesky amendments and stuff. They don't really matter because we have to balance unlimited authoritarian power with the claim that we actually give a shit about individual liberty. The courts have been doing that for like way before I was born, way before you were born. And pretending that they're like rationally figuring things out. So in this case, they pretended to be balancing like national security concerns. Like, no, you just kiss the ass of a ruling class that wants to be the ones in control of all this and in control of what people say and what people can hear. Obviously, and you know, I would have said that 5 years ago, And a lot of people will go, oh, that's silly. If anybody still thinks that's silly, given what we just saw of the blatant, obvious, overt censorship and just Pravda West control of information and silencing anybody who didn't spout the party line, if there's anybody who still thinks the Democrats or Republicans give a shit about freedom of speech or the truth, like, okay, just you might as well just switch off this channel because you're too disconnected from reality. You don't matter. So none of this had anything to, this is just a power play in different directions. And everyone in the U.S. ruling class wants the U.S. ruling class to be the one that controls this and limits this and silences that. And people are saying opinions on TikTok that we don't like and we can't censor. We're going to say, it's because meanie China. Everybody be scared of China. Now, of course, China, they have their ruling class. They're just power-happy assholes, too. Like, they're not the good guy. Ruling classes aren't the good guy. Like, when are people going to stop falling for the game that says, our government is protecting us from their government? Both of those view everybody as livestock. None of them give a shit about you. None of them are good. None of them are ever on the side of freedom. You don't become a ruler if you believe in the freedom of the people you're trying to rule. Duh. It's true of Trump. It's true of Biden. It's true of Chinese government. It's true of all of them. But watch how many people who don't even pay any attention to politics and have nothing like a philosophical thought in their head completely flip out at TikTok being shut down. And TikTok didn't even need to shut down. They did it to like, well, we're going to deprive you of it so you all flip out. Then we're going to post this thing stroking Trump's ego and say, only he can save you and bring you back your TikTok. So, of course, he does that. And then they're negotiating deals with people offering tons of money in all directions to do corrupt bullshit in every direction. When government should never have any say. No government should have any say in any of this. But it's amazing how many people have opinions that just happen to match their emotions. Like, Trump saved us. Look it up. In 2020, Trump was going to ban TikTok by himself by way of an executive order. China, we can't have it. So now he's not pro-freedom. He's not even pro-TikTok. He's pro-himself. And the U.S. government is pro-itself. And the Chinese government is pro-itself. And absolutely all of them are anti-freedom, anti the freedom of Americans, the freedom of people in China, the freedom of people everywhere. And so any people playing politics with this stuff where they say, that's why our chosen masters whose boots we lick is the good guy. It's just so pathetic. And in this case, it's just transparently pathetic because Trump himself was openly trying to ban TikTok before and parroting all the same bullshit instead of coming out and saying, well, we want to be able to control what Americans can say and what they can hear, which is obviously true. And Facebook obviously showed that. And the entire legacy media losing their shit at Elon Musk getting Twitter and saying, people can say what they want. Now, how true that is and what the limits are, that remains to be seen. And I'm not saying Elon's a savior either. But the fact that a lot of people in power and a lot of people in the formerly mainstream media, now they're kind of irrelevant. They're not mainstream anymore. Losing their shit about the, people can say things we don't like, though. Misinformation. Oh, you mean misinformation that you didn't spout and spread all over the place? So it's like, obviously, they're scared shitless of them no longer having control over what Americans can hear and what they can say. That is the entire concern of Trump and the Democrats and the Republicans and the ruling class and the Chinese ruling class and every ruling class in the world. They're all scared of people being able to say things and hear things. And they play these dumb games and try to look like the good guy. And no, none of them are ever the good guy. And that's that. And that's true of so many stories you see where both sets of political parasites try to play the good guy. They're not ever the good guy. And here you have the U.S. ruling class trying to shut down a platform because they can't control it all the way. That's all that was. And now it's coming back because they bought the favoritism of this and manipulated that. And, well, there's money to be made. So it's just a giant slime ball show. And Trump is just as much a slime ball as the rest of them. But, so, yeah, enjoy the slime ball show. And as long as TikTok continues, enjoy making trouble on TikTok and saying things on there and see how long it takes before you get banned or whatever. But once again, it isn't the... As long as you're looking at the different puppets as if some of them are on your side, you're still delusional. You're still not understanding what's happening. And I totally predicted the moment they put that notice up, I was like, well, that's TikTok trying to stroke Trump's ego in the hopes that he'll come along and then he can look like the savior of TikTok, which he totally did. It's all just manipulation games. And the manipulation of power only happens if there's power. And if there aren't ruling classes, you don't see any of this crap. Not from the U.S. government, not from the Chinese government, not from any of that. But that's still a ways down the road. But enjoy your not at all freedom and the various parasites arguing over who should be robbing you and controlling what you can say and hear and think. Yeah.